So where we left off last time, we got our silicone mold done. We added our divider fin of cards. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to put a piece of tape to keep all the cards in one spot. And then I'm going to also add a piece of aluminum foil so that way it makes separating the plasti paste from the cards a little bit easier. And then on top of the aluminum foil, I'm going to add some paste wax, just to hopefully get everything separated properly. Now, one thing with plasti paste, the instructions do make it clear that you should not breathe the fumes. So what I'm going to do is put a fan over in the corner, aim it towards the door, get a little circulation going in here. I'm also going to wear a mask to keep the fumes out of my lungs. So there's two different versions of plasti paste. There's a plasti paste original and there's a plasti paste 2. I'm using plasti paste 2 for this one, and it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So it's going to be 2 parts of this one and 1 part of this. So we've got about 3 coats done. I'm pretty happy with how it's come out. The underside feels pretty good. So what we're going to do now is take the aluminum foil and then flip it to the other side. And what this will do is, by flipping the aluminum foil over, it gives us a border so we don't go over. And if we do, we can break it off without it locking the 2 pieces together. So we've pulled our mohawk of cards. We got our aluminum foil folded over. Next, we're going to do another 3 layers on this other side. Our hard shell is all fully cured, and we're ready to pry it apart, pull out the aluminum foil. Alright, so that wasn't too bad. So there's not a lot of registration keys. A lot of times you'll see multiple registration keys to keep the silicone locked in place. I've got a couple in there, but with just the odd shape of the mask, I didn't think it was really as needed as you might do on like a round piece. So we're just gonna pull out all the aluminum foil. And as you can see, the paste wax makes it real simple to pull this apart. One thing I'm also going to do is, say we got all these burrs and stuff on the edges. Once I get the holes drilled and we get it clamped up and everything like that, I'm probably going to go back through and sand off the edge, makes it smooth, and knock down any high points that might prick me or anything like that. It's fairly smooth. I did use some alcohol to kind of smooth it out, but there's a couple points I want to hit and make a little bit easier to handle when I'm slush casting. So we got that side off, and then we'll try. But it's not. There it goes, you can hear it. Whoop. Where's that crack at? Right there. So we did crack it. But I can make up a little batch of plastic paste again, and we can patch that. So I'm just gonna mark that so I know. And you can hear it, kind of the air in it now once I start pulling on it. There we go. Ooh, you can hear that static electricity. So there we go. 2 parts of our mother mold shell. I am going to trim all this up, make it nice and smooth and even, get it all nice and smooth, but I don't think it'll be too bad to slush cast this around. I think it'll be fairly smooth. So we got our shell back together. What I'm going to wind up doing is putting a couple number 2 clamps on this to hold the shells together, and then I'm going to take a drill and drill a couple holes through so when we put our bolts and wing nuts on, everything will stay lined up. So we got the wing nuts in. What we're going to do now is pull the hard shell apart, and then we're going to start peeling off the silicone off the sculpt. Alright, so at this point we're ready to pull off our silicone. Because of all the undercuts and stuff on the front, I'm going to try to pull from the back forward and see how that goes. Go. So what I'm doing now is just looking inside, seeing how everything looks. So what I'm going to do next is kind of go in here and clean up all these edges. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Well, now that we got the silicone off, we don't need this anymore. So what I'm going to do now is just do a quick trash mold. I'm going to pour some 65D in there, slush cast around, and now pull out any loose silicone, any loose clay, any dust or anything that might have gotten in there. And usually you want to do that for a first run just to clean it out. And so a lot of times they turn out okay, sometimes they turn out crap. So sometimes I'll just do a little bit of a coating, not very much, and then when it's still hot, I'll pull it out so I don't have to take apart the mold. So we'll play around with it and see what we get. So 65D is really great for slush casting. It's a 1x1 by volume, and you want to give it a good mix before you pour. So I'm just giving it a good stir. Let's see. So I'm going to pour on the face to get this started, and in the mouth. So I wound up changing my shirt because slush casting can be a little bit messy. As you can see, it's starting to drip out a little bit. And we're just rolling it around, getting a good coating, trying to get all the different nooks and crannies. So as you go through and slush cast, you'll start seeing, see right in there, you can see kind of the orange of the eyes, and so that's a real thin layer. The more layers you do, you'll start covering that up. Once I get the orange mostly covered up, I'll go through with I'll add a color to the resin so I can see how the spread is going on those last couple of layers. So usually anywhere that has like a lot of undercuts or a lot of detail or deep grooves like the eye sockets are a really good way to tell how much resin you still need to keep going through. So especially if you're like, sometimes I'll go thin on it, maybe if I'm trying to cut out the mouth or try to cut out the eye sockets. But like for this, with the gills and around the jaw and stuff like that, there's a bunch of deep grooves and stuff. So the high points will be done, but the low points won't. So I want to make sure I get a good covering of it. So a lot of times I might just pour some on there and let it sit. So we have our resin all poured, and we're just gonna pull it out and check on our cast and see how we did. There we go. One side is off. This other one. Well, that part went pretty smooth. So let's start pulling. There we go. Nice. lines up not too bad. There's a little flashing we got to clean up. So like all up in here, we'll cut this out. So we got the inside flashing done, all that rough stuff cut out. I'm probably still going to hit it with the Dremel and tighten it up a bit more. At the same time, I'm going to Dremel out the eye, but it should be good enough now to see how well it fits. So we got the flashing all cleaned up and we're ready to go. I got to Dremel out the inside a little bit more. I've got it kind of rough cut out, but I want to Dremel out the eye holes and just clean it up a little bit around here because it kind of scraped my nose a little bit when I was putting it on and off. But the weight's not too bad. It feels solid. It feels sturdy. I'm fairly happy with it. And then I've just got to pour some teeth and we're ready to paint. So thanks for hanging out with me today, and don't forget to hit that like button and smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you in 2020.